Hey y'all, Rajah with the Ruler back with another video. If you're new here, appreciate you for tuning in. If you're not, my A1 Day ones, like, all right. So I just filmed my last video and I talked about, do women get turned out in prison? And I mentioned something that I've always wanted to post a video about. In prison, any contact that you have is considered a 9-7. So that is the, y'all got caught doing something y'all ain't had no business, DR. Y'all got caught in the act. You get a 9-7, but that's not the only way you can get a 9-7. You can get a 9-7 if they catch you hugging somebody. It could be your friend and it was just their birthday and you hugged them telling them happy birthday, or they could have had a loss in their family and you're trying to console them. Now, most times, okay, officers can be petty, but they don't be that petty. I've never seen somebody get a 9-7 for giving somebody a hug when they lost somebody, right? If they crying and a person come give them a hug and console them, patting them on their back, and stuff like that. I have never seen somebody get in trouble for that. You can get a DR for that. You can also get one like I got one. So I only got one 9-7, and it's literally because I gave a girl a high five. That's it. One of the times I got shipped was when I was at Hernando. It's a faith-based program. Mind you, I was at Gaston, which is upstate Florida in Quincy, and I was like 8 hours from home. So I was not getting no visits. So I'm like, well, let me move closer or whatever. So, because everybody's like, you so far. So I was like, okay, let me move closer so that I can be closer to home. I can get more visits. Right, this is why you don't do stuff for other people. You do it for yourself. Do what's in your best interest. Mind you, they have no AC, no air conditioning at all. They're faith-based. They have, the food in the cafeteria in the chow hall was good. Out of all the places I've been, Hernando had the best chow hall food, hands down. And they give you like big portions. So you can actually, if you don't get money, you can eat good at Hernando. So I was in the dorm and it was Halloween time. We all threw a Halloween party. Of course, I orchestrated it. I always wanted to be an event planner. So I orchestrated it, right? So for the Halloween party, so what you do is we all got together, the people who wanted to participate, we decided what we wanted to make. So there are people who don't get money, right? And at this time I was getting, this was when I was starting to get a little change, right? I wasn't broke no more. Your girl wasn't broke. I wasn't rich, but I wasn't broke. So we decide what we want to make. Like, okay, we're going to make a cake. We're going to make tuna logs. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. So we decided what we was going to make. And then I had a list of everybody who was going to contribute stuff, right? So we decided how much stuff you needed to make 60 tuna logs, to make a cake for 60 people. And then I made a list like, okay, so Melissa, you got to get 3 packs of noodles, you got to get 2 cheese puffs, and you got to get 3 packs of cookies. That was your contribution so that we can make it all right. We also did a costume party. So we had first, second, and we had third place, and we all donated stuff. So of course, first place had the biggest bag of canteen. It was just like random stuff, just like a big bag, a canteen. And you had to dress up for whatever you wanted to dress up for, and whoever had the best costume, that's who won. Prison wasn't, I'm not gonna say it was fun, but there were times where we found a way not to be miserable. Probably because I threw it, because like I wasn't gonna throw a dead party. We done ate, we done played spades, we playing all kinds of games. We ended up doing the costumes, right? So everybody coming out, we had people, they was dressed up like, football players, and then they was acting like they was playing football. We had people that was dressed up like teachers. We had people that was dressed up like strippers, and they was coming in there, acting all kind of crazy and stuff. So I also participated because, I threw the party, right? I can't not participate, I threw the party. So there was this, at Faith Base, just about everybody had to take IOP. I think it's called IOP, is substance abuse. So you have people who have to be in the dorm for substance abuse, and then you have the place where you can take classes. Now at Gaston, they had three dorms where you had to live in and do substance abuse. If they would have ever sent me to that, because I had substance abuse mandated for my probation, right? So when I was at Gaston, I was like, dang, I'm gonna have to end up taking like the inpatient and live in that dorm. They isolate those people and treat them like they got the plague. Like you would think the people in those 3 dorms had leprosy because they're isolated. They don't interact with us. They don't do activities with us. They don't go to rec with us. Like they in classes from sun up to sundown talking about substance abuse and all of that. So I was like, Lord, if I got to go to that, I mean, it is what it is, because I had made it my business. I was like, I'm going to take them classes before I go home, because at home, when you take those classes, you have to pay for them. So why not take them while I'm in prison and they free? So I ended up not having to do the inpatient, because I ended up going to Hernando, and they had it where you could just go to the class once a day, right? Thank God. So it was this lady, oh yes, I do. I remember her name. Her name was Miss Osborne. This is literally the only person's name I have dropped on my channel. That's how much I did not like this lady, right? So her name was Miss Osborne. She was a black lady. She had glasses and she had dreads. Now, one thing I will say about Miss Osborne is her hair was always tea. Like, she always had it like twist up in cute little styles. Like, her hair used to be cute. This lady, I don't know what was wrong with her, but she did not like people who did not admit that they didn't have an addiction. Like, if you was not addicted to something, or you wasn't in class like crying about how drugs ruined your life or how you lost stuff, like, she did not like you. This lady literally did not like me because I didn't have an addiction. Like, I was in those classes because I have a drug charge. So they mandated me for substance abuse because I had a drug charge. I was not using cocaine, okay? They charged me with thinking that I was selling it, right? So I'm in these classes and I'm the only person that's not in here like talking about, oh, you know, woe is me, this is what happened to me, blah, blah, blah. Now, I did learn a lot about substance abuse, being locked up, and I have so much understanding for people who do have an addiction. And if you know anybody who has an addiction, like, I'm not gonna say that you got to give them all your energy and neglect yourself, but have patience with them, because it is bigger than them. So when we would be in these classes, my gift is encouraging. So like when these girls would be talking and I would give them advice, or I would talk to them and stuff like that. And she did not like how these people always wanted me to talk. When we would have a discussion, I would be sitting there minding my business, listening, doing my notes, filling out my workbooks, and we'll be having a discussion. And then one of the girls would be like, hey, so what do you think about this? Have you da-da-da-da? She did not like that. The lady did not like me, bro. Like, oh my God, she used to do everything she could to write me up. So you can get CCs or you can get DRs. A DR is like a referral in prison. In school, right? In prison, a DR is like getting a referral in high school or, you know, middle school, whatever. And a CC is like getting a detention slip. So a CC is not that bad, but it can still take your game time. So she used to always try to get me a CC for all kinds of stuff. Like, I remember one time our dorm got let out late because the people who was in our dorm, they didn't hear the release for work call. So our entire dorm got to class late. But I was the only person in IOP that came from that dorm. So she was trying to write me up for being late. I'm like, ma'am, the officer did not hear work call and just let us out. Like, anyways, so back to the party. And Miss Osborne, she used to be on drugs back in the day. She used to, I don't remember what drug it was, but honestly, I don't know if that lady used to be on drugs back in the day. That's just what we used to say, because she never told us she used to be on drugs, but got to be, because what's wrong with you? So at our Halloween party, I dressed up as Miss Osborne. Like, you don't like me? Okay, well, I'm gonna make a fool of you. So I dressed up as Miss Osborne. And the reason, of course, I won first place, right? Of course, but the reason is because, like, I had, like, you got these little mirrors or whatever, you know, they're like this big. It's not really a mirror, it's like plastic, but you can see yourself, right? So I had one of these mirrors, and I was walking around acting like her, talking like her, and I was like staggering like I was drunk, and you know, I was giving people advice. I was like, make sure you say no to drugs, and I was like walking around like I was drunk. So everybody was like dying laughing. So then I pulled the mirror out, and you know, the Sweet and Low's pack. So I ripped it out. So it's sugar, but it looked like cocaine on the mirror. And I acted like, you know, I had a drug problem and all that. So of course I won, right? My uniform, my costume was lit, and then I was entertaining. Like, so I won first place. But anyways, so when we did this Halloween party, it was this older lady, I cannot remember her name, but she was just like real miserable. She was very miserable, and she did not like the fact that we was having fun. Now, mind you, in prison, it's very hard to stay up real late, having a party and making a lot of noise, because you have the dorm and then you have the officer station. Now, as long as business as usual is going on and everybody's moving around and the lights is on, you can be walking around, you know, laughing. They'll leave you alone, let you do your food and stuff. But once those lights go out, you got to sit down somewhere and go to sleep. Ain't no such thing as you just get to be turned for no reason, unless it's like the NBA finals, if it's the Super Bowl, if like the Grammys or something like that is on, then they will let you stay up, and you know what I'm saying, New Year's Eve, they won't really bother you if you like loud, acting crazy and stuff. But Halloween, you got to lay down. So we was loud, but it wasn't when it was time to go to sleep, because like I said, you got to calm that down. It's time to go to sleep. So she just didn't like the fact that we was all loud and having fun and stuff. So that died down. We tried to run it back for a repeat Christmas, right? So once again, everybody's like, you got to throw the Christmas party. So I'm like, all right, boom. So we did Secret Santa, and I love doing Secret Santa. So of course I was the host of Secret Santa, and basically it's like, who I want to participate. So I write down everybody's name who want to participate for Secret Santa, and then I write all those names down again, and I went around and everybody pulled whoever they want, and then I would write Melissa got Jamie, okay, Brittany got Amanda, right? So I knew who had who. And of course, I knew who had me because I did it, but I knew who had who. So if somebody didn't end up getting a gift, I could be like, Jamie, why you didn't get Amanda her gift? Like, okay, so who gave Jamie a gift? Right, so now you give it to Amanda. So we did Secret Santa. We also did, of course, we cooked. We gave away, like we made bags and gave it to people who didn't have money. We didn't do any games or anything, but we ate, we played cards, like, we drank coffee, which is the equivalent of getting drunk, right? So in prison, if you up late and you drinking coffee, like that's how we feel like we getting drunk, because who in their right mind drinking coffee at 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night? A fool, that's who. So we drinking our coffee, we lit, you know, we turn. So they start twerking, like beating on the lockers. And mind you, we is at faith base, okay? Now, I used to twerk, but I ain't twerked since I was at Gaston. Right, so I'm not in here twerking, okay? So I'm talking about they beating on lockers, they twerking, hitting splits, they upside down. I'm talking about all over the place. They was really wilding. Like, that coffee had us lit. That coffee had us lit, right? So I'm talking about they all over the place. The officers ain't really bothering us too much, because even though they can see us like dancing, so with some officers, if you show them respect, they'll leave you alone. So like, if I'm in here and I'm like twerking and I'm acting crazy and all that, right? And then I see the officer look at me, even though I know they see me, if I stop, you know, and like sit down, they'll be like, okay, then they'll go back to doing whatever it is. So it's like a level of respect. If you stop, then they'll be like, okay, you know, they'll try to act like they ain't see you and they're going about their business, and you can have fun. Now, if you see the officer looking at you and you still, you know, coochie popping on the handstand, then they're going to come in there like, okay, now you doing too much. Everybody get on your beds, go to sleep, blah, blah, blah. So I'm talking about turned to the max at Faith Base. I guess I was a little responsible because I threw the party, but I wasn't twerking. Like, I mean, I was laughing and like in the middle of it all, but I guess I ain't gonna make no excuses. But I'm talking about turned all over the place. Like, you can't get around it because we in the bed area now. So like the people who, Lord, trying to read their Bibles or read their books, listen to their tablets, listen to their music, ooh, worship, praise. Sorry, Lord, if that's what they was doing, but they running up and down. I'm talking about, it's just rump everywhere, shaking. So it was this one girl. So it was this white girl. She dancing, she getting loose or whatever. So she come over there. I'm sitting on the locker of my homegirl. Her bed was right there, and I'm sitting on her locker. So we just laughing and everything, talking, looking around at the festivities, because she too old to be up there twerking, and I'm not finna get up there twerking. So the white girl, you know, she dancing, she hitting a split and everything. So we bust out laughing or whatever because it was funny. Like, she almost hurt herself hitting that split. So she comes over there to me, and she puts her hand up. So I high five her, right? So then, you know, everything goes on. The party is good. Boom. It's over. We go to sleep the next day. They start calling people down, okay? One by one. We didn't know what was going on. One by one. All day long. They started calling people down. And we see them going to jail. We like, what's going on? So mind you, they done roll these camera back because this lady, she done dropped the request and told them it's getting outrageous, blah, blah, blah. So they done rolled the cameras back. Oh, this you right here, pulling them one by one. So we see them, we like, oh Lord. So this all day long. I'm working in the kitchen. So I'm in the kitchen, right? And we can see like the people just study going back and forth to jail, and they all coming out my dorm. So at this point, I'm like, oh my gosh, like they really upset about this party. So I'm like, you know, everybody that we see going to jail is the people who was like twerking and stuff. And I'm like, well, you know, I wasn't twerking, so I should be good, right? I'm talking about, I was the last person to get handcuffed to go to jail all day long. We just like, now mind you, at Hernando's not like other prisons, right? There are certain things that if you go to jail for, you get shipped by. I already posted a video about all that goes when it comes to getting shipped. So y'all go check that out, because this video will be an hour long if I go back over the information. Nobody wants to get shipped, especially out of the blue. Now, if I know I'm getting shipped, that's another thing. But to just up and get shipped, no. So Hernando, you go to jail, you getting shipped. It ain't no you go to jail, do your time, you get out. Okay, no harm, no foul. No, you getting up out of there. They getting you up out of there. So people steady going to jail all day long. So I'm like, God, Lee, I don't want to get shipped. Like, I came here for visits, even though I only got 3. This many. I was in prison 8.5 years. This how many visits I got. Anywho. But they coming one by one. So I'm like, Lord have mercy. So finally they called me down there, and I'm sitting, and they got me sitting in medical. So they talking about, oh, you know, the LT wants to talk to you and all this other stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay. So at this point, I'm thinking they just gonna ask me a bunch of questions, because I'm study thinking. I'm like, what did I do? Throwing a party is not, they can't give you a DR for that. They can try to get you for inciting a riot, but it's gonna be real hard to say this party incited a riot. Right? I guess kind of, sort of. But they don't really know I planned it unless she told them, which she did tell them. Because other than that, like, I'm just a regular person just like everybody else. So if you don't see me twerking, I look like any other inmate in the dorm just watching what's going on. But she told them I threw it. So I'm sitting there like, LT want to talk to you. So they eventually ended up handcuffing me. Now, mind you, this is an all-day process. I'm talking about people start going to jail around about 11 o'clock in the morning, 11. I ain't end up getting to jail until like 8 o'clock that night. But I was sitting in medical from like 3, 4. I'm talking about I was sitting there for hours. Like, you know how irritating that is? I felt like I was back in the county jail in booking. Because you gonna sit in booking for hours before they call you out that cell to get them fingerprints, to make you take that shower, to make you put them jail clothes on, and to take you upstairs. You're gonna be sitting in booking for hours, and that cell is so cold. It's the cold. I'm telling you, booking is the coldest place on earth. I don't know. I don't know if that's a fact, but it got to be a fact. It's so cold in booking in the county jail, it don't make no sense. You feel it in your bones. Like, it make you feel like you have arthritis. So I'm just sitting there. I'm like, Lord, I feel like I'm in booking. So they finally like, oh, the LT wants to talk to you. So they ended up taking me to jail without even talking to me. Like, I never even talked to nobody. They just, you know, turn around, submit the hand restraint. So I'm like, man, listen, all right. So they done cuffed me. They done took me to confinement and all this other stuff. All my property ended up coming. The worst thing you can do is go to jail, and then the police has to pack your property. Because for one, I made a video about that too, but they be real disrespectful with your property if they don't like you. Now, I will give Hernando their props. They was not disrespectful with my property. But you don't know if they was or if they wasn't until you get out of jail and you get your property and you doing inventory, like, where's this, why is this broken? So you don't want somebody else packing your property, okay? Because if you got contraband, at least when you know you're going to jail, you can be like, hey, hold this, put this to the side, grab this, grab that, because they can be packing out your property and hit you with another DR if you got contraband. So I'm like, man, they done packed my stuff. So I'm in confinement. They come to me when they served me my DR. That's when I realized what I had a DR for, because they was not telling me. I'm like, you know, what am I in confinement for? Like, what did I do? What's going on? So they served me my DR. I got a 9-7. And they said that they was reviewing the cameras. And they had the inmate name in there. And it was like, inmate, you know, was gyrating and all this other stuff. And she hit a split. And that she got up and I gave her a high five. Mind you, she gave me a high five. Okay. Let's get that straight. She put her hand up and I touched it. I felt like it would have been rude of me not to return the high five. Like, I didn't give her a high five. She gave me a high five. But they was like, I gave her a high five, and they gave me a 9-7 for a high five because I threw 2 epic parties at Hernando. When I tell you so many people got shipped, and I'm talking about we got shipped all over the place. So they shipped us in the middle of the night, and I'm talking about years later. I'm at whole different compounds, and people who was at the party, they're like, oh, so you remember the party? Hey man, we was like, I'm talking about down the line, they was still talking about the parties. They was like, oh, you threw the party at Hernando, they got everybody shipped. And I was like, listen, don't be telling nobody that, okay? Don't be throwing no salt on my name. But they talked about that party for a long time because it really was lit at Hernando, faith-based. Lord, you know I love you. But that is why they shipped me. That was the only 9-7 I got. The only unauthorized physical contact. That is not the only high five I gave while I was in prison. I done gave hugs. Like, they just had to find a reason. That was literally the only reason they could find to give me a DR. And I know they kept looking at that camera over and over and over because it took them so long to send me to confinement and put me in jail. Like, they had to be forensics over that footage. Like, okay, oh, right there. No, we can't get it for that. Oh, what? No, we can't get it for that. That high five. That was the only thing. Dirty dogs. But that is all. Don't throw no parties in prison. Don't go to prison, for one. Just don't do that. But definitely don't throw no party at Hernando. Matter of fact, I think it's a male's prison now. So, ladies, y'all ain't even got to worry about that. But I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Until next time.